Welcome back to chemistry class. How many of you have ever seen the TV show Jeopardy? How many of you wished you'd seen it? What's interesting about that show? How is it unique than any other show? Yeah, go ahead.
The question.
Yeah, you have to answer in the form of a question. So they actually give you the answer and you come up with the question. The study system we're going to talk about today is called self-questioning taxonomy. Taxonomy is just one of those big words in which you have a whole bunch of different ways of questioning, different ways in which you can find information. So you can find out questions by, as my shirt says here, it says either by remembering, understanding, or applying, also analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So we're going to be going through all of those, and we're going to take concepts and ideas, we're going to come up with an answer and a question, and we're going to put them together, and actually you're going to create your own questions for a Jeopardy game show, and then you're going to compete against each other, answering each other's questions. Okay, so here's what we're going to start with. So this self-questioning taxonomy, it's a mouthful to say. Actually, what that means is that we're going to take a system, and we're going to take a concept, and we're going to develop a question around it. Let's start with a couple of terms. You pass these around this way, 5 of you this way, 5 of you this way. In chapter 13, we're looking at, or we've already looked at the natures of gases, liquids, solids. We've also looked at changes of state, and there's another one called vocabulary. Each of you is going to be broken up into two groups. This is going to be group 1. This is going to be group 2. Yeah, fine. That's fine. There's our dividing line. And what we're going to look at in each one of those is a couple of terms that I'm going to give you. In the future, when we play this game, a couple chapters down the road, we come up with it again. You're going to come up with your own ideas and topics and questions. But for right now, I'm going to give you what they are. And from that point, then, I want you to put together questions. So as we do that with these topics, we're going to break up into these groups, and you guys are going to come up with Jeopardy questions. Now, before I do that, I'm going to give you a few guidelines. How many of you ever saw the Cheers episode in which Cliff Clavin was on Jeopardy?
What's Cheers?
Cheers.
I'm in 11th grade. I remember it a long time ago, but I can't.
Long time
I
ago.
saw it. I'm only in 11th grade.
Okay. There was a guy. It's a TV show called Cheers. They sat in a bar all the time. They drank, and there was a gentleman there by the name of Cliff Clavin. He was a know-it-all. He was a post office worker, and his hobbies were beer, bar trivia, postal services, and something else. So he made it up onto Jeopardy, and on Final Jeopardy, it comes around and topics are postal service, beer, barroom trivia, all this stuff. He gets them all right. He goes on to the final one, and he's ahead by $20,000. And they go to the final question, and they go to the final answer. He has to come up with a question with he writes down, who are 3 people who've never been in my kitchen? And Alex says, well, don't worry, we're not going to count it as right. He said, that is a question, but what they're looking for is specific questions that guide you to only that answer. Okay, so Cliff wrote a question, who are 3 people who've never been in my kitchen? He says, well, technically they've never been in my kitchen, so this is correct. But the question doesn't lead only to that answer. So let's give an example from chemistry. Let's say that we're talking about helium. You can't say, this is a gas, because it could be any of a number of gases. It has to be limiting to that one aspect. So while we're talking about all these different comparing and analyzing and contrasting, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to form your question in such a way that it can lead only to that one answer. Let's say we're talking about helium again. You would have to say something about this lighter than air gas. Okay, that gives us more of a clue because there's only a few of them that would be there. What else do you think of when you think of helium? What's the only experience you've had with it?
HE?
Hot air balloons.
Hot air balloons, what else?
What is the gas that makes your voice squeak when you inhale it?
Yes, everybody's done that, right? Everybody has done that. So this will be an idea of taking applying and putting it into the question. So maybe forming the question in this way. This make your voice squeaky gas is often used in hot air balloons. It's kind of silly, but it takes the 2 ideas and concepts. What you've done is you've created now something, you've created a clue within the answer so that they can come up with a question that limits only to that gas. Okay, so you have your assignments right now. I'm going to walk around and give you some help, and I want you to come up with your own questions for those 2 areas. One group has natures of gases and liquids. The other one has natures of solids and changes of state. So go ahead and jump into that, and I'll come around and give you some help. Okay, good job. I've collected all your stuff. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to play today, but this would cover over in another class period. So what I'll do is take all your stuff, I'll put them on my sheet up here, And we'll actually go ahead and play a couple of quick rounds, and we'll see how well you guys do. So I need to sit over here. But group one, up over there, what topics did you have?
Team 2. It says 2.
Team one over here. You had natures of gases and natures of liquids. Okay, so you may pick anything from the other 3 categories. Since you came up with those questions, you would already know the answers for them. So you have to answer the questions that they have done. So go ahead and team decide which one do you want.
Change the state 500.
Changes of state 500. Oh, wrong. Sorry.
Ooh, I know what it is. What is triple point?
This is actually the preview mode, and so it's actually the game mode. So, which I don't know how to get to right there. So then you would say, the only set of conditions at which all 3 phases can exist in equilibrium with one another, and the answer would be, what is triple point? Good. This is how it works. You go this. How about over here? Pick one either from vocabulary, natures of gases, or natures of liquids.
Vocab 3.
Vocab for 800 or 300?
800.
Oh, I'm sorry. A device that is used to measure atmospheric pressure.
Helium. Squeaky again.
So obviously, what is a barometer? And what you can also do for an assessment then at the final end, talking to you as classmates now, is you can actually have that a team has to have a certain number of points, like a dollar amount. So if you get 1,600 for your team, then you get an A. If you get all of them right, you add up how the dollar amount can be. Easier questions. Everybody has to answer one question. Everybody has to put together one question.
That's good.
All right, so that's what I have.
Yay, great. Awesome.